The most feared villain in 1980 cinema had a Fulbright scholarship to MIT. He spoke 4 languages. He was a European karate champion. He had a master's degree in chemical engineering. Acting wasn't the plan. Rocky IV, 1985. 91 minutes, 30 of them montage. Critics destroyed it. Audiences made it one of the highest-grossing films of the decade. 16 facts. One of them put the director in intensive care. Stay until the end, because the last one is about a letter that was never opened. Fact 1. The man who played Ivan Drago gave up a place at MIT to become a bodyguard for Grace Jones. Hans Dolph Lundgren was born in Stockholm. By his late 20s, he had a master's degree in chemical engineering, a European karate title, 4 languages, and a Fulbright scholarship waiting for him in Boston. He was going to be an engineer. Then he moved to Sydney, became Grace Jones's bodyguard, became her boyfriend, and she convinced him to drop the scholarship and try acting instead. He'd never acted. The acceptance letter from MIT was still sitting there. He left it. Fact 2. Lundgren found out about the role by accident, then got rejected, then got the part anyway. He walked into a casting office for an unnamed boxing film. Behind the agent, he could see a sign, Rocky IV. She asked his height. 6'5". She said, "Next." He sent photos and videos directly to a contact of Stallone's. Got called back 6 months later. Thousands of actors had been seen. The man they'd already turned down got the role. Fact 3. Stallone originally wanted a big hairy monster. Lundgren was the opposite. That was the point. After months of searching without finding what he wanted, Stallone changed the concept entirely. Drago, not as a beast but as a machine, state-engineered, biomechanical, the future of human production. The other finalists, 2 actual Russians, played their lines like trash talkers, heavy accents, loud threats. Lundgren did the opposite, cold, precise, as few words as possible. Drago has 9 lines of dialogue in the entire film. "I must break you" is one of them. Fact 4. Stallone asked Lundgren to hit him for real. It put him in the ICU. To increase intensity, Stallone decided the fight sequences should use real contact. 3 takes in, he felt a burning in his chest and ignored it. That night, difficulty breathing, blood pressure over 200. Lundgren had punched him hard enough to slam his heart against his breastbone. The pericardial sac began to swell, cutting off blood supply. Emergency low-altitude flight from Vancouver to Santa Monica. 4 days in intensive care. He had asked his opponent to actually hit him. It almost killed him. Fact 5. Lundgren and Carl Weathers had a real fight on set. The production stopped for 4 days. During a scene, Lundgren threw Weathers into a corner of the ring, too hard. Weathers left the set, called his agent, and announced he was quitting the film. Stallone had to force both men to reconcile before filming could resume. 4 days lost. The movie about dignity and sportsmanship stopped production because 2 of its actors actually fought. Fact 6. James Brown's last career hit was performed live for a fight scene that ends with the fighter's death. Living in America plays as Apollo Creed dances into the arena. Brown hadn't had a top 40 hit in 11 years. This was his last. Apollo doesn't survive the fight. Brown's comeback was the soundtrack to a funeral. Fact 7. The Siberian wilderness was Wyoming. The Soviet crowd was 3,000 Canadians. Stallone ran through real snow in Jackson Hole, chopped real wood, pulled a real sled. The training sequences are genuine physical effort. The Moscow Arena was Vancouver's Agrodome. Cyrillic Pepsi ads on the walls, Cyrillic toilet signs. 3,000 extras taught how to clap in Russian cadence, wave Soviet flags, chant on cue, and then switch sides when Rocky starts winning. An entire Soviet stadium, built in Canada, cheering for a man from Philadelphia. Fact 8. Stallone wrote the Rocky IV script between takes on the Rambo 2 set. Sitting on a rock between action sequences, Rambo 2 shot largely in British Columbia. 2 of the defining action films of the 1980s were being written in the same head, at the same time, on the same coast. Rocky IV was finished in weeks. It became the highest-grossing film in the franchise. Halfway there. A man in intensive care, a 4-day shutdown, a comeback hit for a dead man's entrance, Canada dressed as the Soviet Union. From here, the film stops being a production and starts being a political event. Fact 9. Brigitte Nielsen played Drago's wife while engaged to Stallone. She married Stallone in December 1985, 1 month after the film's release. On screen, she was the cold-faced Soviet handler of the man trying to destroy him. Off-screen, she was his fiancée. The marriage lasted 2 years. Fact 10. Rocky IV grossed $300 million against a $30 million budget, the highest nominal box office of any film in the franchise. 30 minutes of montage, 91 minutes total. No film in the franchise comes close to its return on investment. No film built mostly from training sequences and synthesizer music should have performed like this. Audiences didn't read the reviews. Fact 11. A Soviet girl on a White House peace tour watched Rocky beat Drago. Katya Licheva, 11 years old, visited the U.S. in 1986 as a Soviet peace ambassador. The White House, McDonald's, Disneyland, and Rocky IV. The Reagan administration built a diplomatic event around a child. Stallone's film was part of the program. An 11-year-old from Moscow sat in a cinema and watched the Soviet champion lose to an American in front of a cheering Soviet crowd. Fact 12. Rocky's final speech was discussed as a genuine contribution to Cold War diplomacy. If I can change and you can change, everybody can change. Stallone meant it. He said he wanted to show two men settling what 20 million might otherwise have to. Political commentators in the US and the Soviet Union cited the film as a cultural document. A sports fantasy about a steroid-enhanced robot boxer was treated as a statement about international relations. It may be the most accidental piece of diplomacy in cinema history. Fact 13. Drago admits to doping on camera. Nobody in 1985 did that. In a press conference scene, Drago's camp is asked directly about performance-enhancing drugs. The answer? Whatever works. No denial, no deflection. The Soviet doping program was an open secret in 1985. No one admitted it publicly. Stallone put the confession in the script, and nobody stopped him. Fact 14. Stallone hated Pauly's robot. In 2021, he finally cut it out. The dancing domestic robot that Pauly receives as a birthday present, one of the most mocked moments in the original cut, was a studio decision, not Stallone's. He has said he despised it from day one. 36 years later, when he released the director's cut, it was the first thing he removed. The robot exists now only in the version Stallone didn't want. Fact 15. Lundgren walked into the premiere as Grace Jones's date. He walked out as a movie star. He arrived on the red carpet beside her. Every camera pointed at Jones. He stood slightly behind her, her boy toy in his own words. Then the film ended. They stepped back onto the street. Every camera pointed at him. It happened in 90 minutes, he said. I went from nobody to Dolph Lundgren, movie star. Fact 16. The Fulbright scholarship was still waiting when the premiere ended. Lundgren had never formally declined the MIT offer. The place was still technically his. The man who had just become one of the most recognizable faces in Hollywood was, on paper, still scheduled to study chemical engineering in Boston. He didn't go. He stayed. The letter was never answered. He gave up the future he'd planned for a role that almost didn't happen, in a film he almost wasn't in, opposite a man who ended up in hospital because of him. Some decisions make themselves. A Fulbright scholar rejected for being too tall. A punch that triggered a cardiac emergency. 3,000 Canadians learning to cheer in Russian. A robot that survived 36 years before its creator could kill it. Rocky IV was not supposed to be taken seriously. It was taken seriously anyway. If he can change, and you can change, everybody can change.